Welcome to Pivotal People. Today we're speaking to Martin Gould. Martin is head of Brokerage at Christie & Co. Thank you, Martin, for coming to see us today. We're really pleased to see you, and we're really interested at Pivotal People in what you do.
Okay. No, thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now, what your job involves and what you're actually doing at the moment.
Okay, so my job title is Head of Brokerage Care. So I head up corporate disposal projects and liaise with corporate clients, liaise with our internal team, and basically run the processes for people to dispose of their care homes and do all the reporting and the interaction, etc.
So as far as your current job's concerned, you need to know a little bit about care homes to be able to do your job.
We do.
Yeah.
I think it comes through talking to people, through listening to people, talking to operators. We have a perception of what good looks like, and I think through our experience we can walk into a care home and we obviously look at the CQC reports, etc. But you can feel and sense what good looks like from staff interaction, from the way the owners behave within homes, etc. So I think we do. I don't think we know enough. But I think it's very good to know something about how a home operates, because we can't do our job if we didn't know that.
And I think since COVID happened, things have changed within CQC, and where you used to be able to look at an inspection report and see it as an accurate assumption of what that home is now.
Yes.
Sometimes these reports are years old.
They are, and that's a significant problem, particularly if someone requires improvement rating, and it's 18 months, 2 years, 3 years old in some cases, and they want to get a good rating. Their home is good. The reason CQC haven't come back out is because they're happy with the service, the local authority is happy with the service, and it doesn't impact value necessarily in terms of selling a care home, but the perception is not as good as it should be. And it's unfair on that operator who's done a good job, looked at what they were doing wrong, righted it, and it's just unfair that they now aren't reflected and they can't market on that basis.
It is. I think it's what we're seeing when we're going into care homes now is, I've got one particular care home that requires improvement overall at the moment, which is actually verging on outstanding. And it's sad because there's no way we'll get CQC in there. They're not priority.
Yeah, and it does affect the funding for people as well. It affects funding for existing owners, but also purchasers. Mm-hmm. If something is RI, it should be okay to fund, but there are more questions asked, and it could affect the type of loan or the level of loan that someone can get for financing a deal. Yeah,
and obviously if they're having to pay more money for a loan, then the business is going to be more challenging. And
very much so. Very much so.
It's changed. A lot of things changed over the last few years. So go right back to the beginning of your career, and can you tell me how you got to where you are now?
So I started with the company in 2002. Started in London office just around the corner from here on 50 Victoria Street, where we used to be headquartered. I originally worked within the licensed leisure sector, dealing with pubs and restaurants. We opened an office. I was then the inaugural manager of an office we opened in North London in Enfield, and I ran that for a period of time. I then moved to Milton Keynes office and ran our Northern Home Counties region as the location manager, and it was at that point that I transitioned into a care agency role and started learning about care and transacting on care, and that was December 2006.
Goodness, so you've been in care quite a long time. So you've seen the changes that we've seen.
Enormously.
Yeah.
Lots is the same.
Yeah.
Lots of things are the same. But yes, that gradual evolution and the resilience of the sector, and obviously COVID, we all know, proved the resilience enormously. But the resilience was there beforehand. And whenever a challenge is thrown at the sector, we see operators just deal with it. They find a way, they move forwards, and the positivity in that, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, we are full of very positive people. I think we've had to be over the last few years because we've got decreasing fee levels from local authorities, and we've got increasing costs from certainly minimum wage is making a massive difference to that margin is squeezed all the time. But
it has been, yes, but we have seen with the fee rises last year, and obviously this year's are not set in stone yet. Some authorities have declared, some haven't. But we are seeing a bit of margin restoration without doubt. And although wage rises have gone up quite a bit and general inflation pressures, utility costs has come down, and we are seeing that margin getting better, getting back, not quite to where it was, but certainly that margin is getting better.
Really? That's really positive. That's really good to know.
As long as someone's doing a really good job, and occupancy is key, obviously, and occupancy is fed from quality of care, quality of service.
Absolutely. So yeah, quality of care is it. That is the most important thing. But what about the stock that's out there? Are you seeing a lot less? Are you seeing the smaller converted homes fading out and more hotel-like corporate homes coming in?
It's an interesting one. And the analogy I'd use is some of us like staying in a branded hotel, and some of us like staying in a boutique hotel. And of the care homes out there, the bed stock that is available, they're not all purpose built. Some are just conversions, older buildings. Some are conversions with more modern extensions. Some are obviously purpose built, and purpose built stretches, but 1990s predominantly, all the way through. So there's a huge difference and evolution in room sizes and facilities, ensuite facilities there. But fundamentally, we are seeing businesses being very sustainable as long as they provide good care, and as long as they have a good reputation. And the older generation aren't used to ensuite bedrooms. Depending on someone's needs, an ensuite bedroom isn't necessarily useful for them. They can't use it. Obviously, if it's a more modern facility and the ensuite is larger and they're able to be assisted within it, then that's fantastic. And that's obviously the way forward, and that's why standards are as they are. But we're absolutely seeing, and have done for many years and will continue to do so, we have strong interest if we bring good homes to the market, good businesses to the market with good track records. They are positively received by the buying audience, and people want to grow their portfolios. They want to buy more homes. And that might be a 30-bed home, that might be a 40-bed home. Of course people would like purpose-built, but people's budgets don't always facilitate them buying a purpose-built, and they have to buy 2, 3, 4, 5 homes and build their portfolio that way.
It's nice that we've got such a diverse stock out there. So a little bit of an off-the-wall question. So imagine, I'm not talking about your parents, I'm talking about you. So when you get to the point that you need a care home, how are you going to choose your care home? Bearing in mind you've got your own choice and you could choose the one you want.
I have got my own choice. I would choose on feeling. I would choose on reputation. I would choose on the care, and I wouldn't choose on room size. I wouldn't choose on the facilities or how swish something looked. That's all very nice, but I would choose based on how it made me feel and how safe I felt and how comforted I felt.
Yeah, as we do with our own homes.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So how do you see the future? Where are we going?
I think it's really positive. I come into every new year, and you don't know quite what's ahead. We obviously have the election coming, and we don't need to politicise the sector. There's plenty of people that do that for us. And obviously there's lots of demands being placed upon the government to recognise care. Unfortunately, the recognition has been woeful in the past, and I think we all have expectations, perhaps slightly negative expectations, that the sort of the status quo will continue. Hopefully not. Hopefully there will be change. But I see occupancies really, really healthy across the regions and across all the regions, not just in the southeast, not just in private pay. I see really, really strong occupancies. I see from the homes we act on, I see local authorities that have a really strong need for beds in certain areas. And as long as the care home provides that great service, which obviously there's a repeat theme here, isn't there?
Absolutely.
It's good care, but there is a real need, and the local authorities place people in those homes, and they are really sustainable businesses. Some of the things we've sold in the last 12, 18 months, 2 years, I think 5 years ago, they wouldn't have perhaps had the occupancy levels that they have today. They wouldn't necessarily have the demand from the local authorities they have today. And it's obviously there's a growing need. We all know about the demographic trends, etc. But we have a market that is somewhat split. We have new homes and new facilities being built in places where private pay is achievable, because you have to have private pay fees to
Absolutely.
be able to afford of the build of creating that new home has to have those higher fee levels. In other areas, we don't have that. So although we see bed numbers increasing each year, and some homes close and some homes have moved to alternate use, but we as a company, we sell a lot of closed homes, and roughly 2/3 to 3/4 of those are sold for continued care use, even though they're closed. It's not for alternate use. We are seeing new beds built, of course we are, and we act on a lot of those sales of sites with planning or existing turnkey facilities. But you're not seeing new homes, new beds being built in the areas that are local authority funded. You're not seeing them in the postcodes where the demographic profile isn't appropriate to fund a private place in a home. And so we almost have two markets. And so we have not enough beds being created in the places where we do need beds, and we have quite a lot of beds being created in areas that can financially support those beds being created. So it is almost like a two-stage market in that respect, and there is a crying need for more beds, and that's reflected, I think, in occupancy levels.
Do you think that's going to get worse? I can get why. If you're going to build a brand new home, you're going to find a place for it where you can get the fee rates. But do you think, as we go forward in the next 20 years or so, that's going to be even worse, that we have less and less stock?
I think it will continue to an extent.
Yeah.
I think, as I said before, the sector evolves, and a lot of people in the sector are innovators.
Yeah.
So people will find a way. I think there is concern for the areas where new beds aren't being built, and you've got older homes that they have a long economic life, they do, but they need constant reinvestment. They're not, physically, they may not be suitable for certain care needs. It all depends on the care needs. For a vanilla sort of residential or vanilla nursing care, they might be fine, but if we're talking about specialist, or obviously increasing in dementia and challenging behaviour, etc., then you need a different type of facility to keep people safe. So I think it will continue. I think we will continue to see we will obviously see beds being built. What's really interesting is that we're seeing a trend over the last year, 18 months or so, that when people are building new care homes, they were building to in excess of 50 square metres gross internal area per resident, 55 square metres, something like that. Bedroom sizes are 16, 17 square metres plus the ensuite. The trend we're seeing where build costs have gone up and up and up is some of those schemes are actually being reduced on the square meterage per resident, and they're coming back down towards 50 square metres where they were a few years ago. And people are putting, if they were building, say, a 65-bed home, they're now building a 66, 67, 68-bed home. And that is balancing the economics of the build, where they've got that slightly higher revenue. And obviously day space is just being diminished very slightly, still way above minimum standards as such. But that's a trend we're seeing. So there's huge appetite for sites, there's huge appetite to build new things. And it is in emerging areas, and we're seeing those boundaries constantly pushed, but it is in areas where private pay supports it, and it's not in the areas, perhaps, that truly need it. That's the biggest issue. And we are seeing a bit of a north-south divide, not a politicised one, but just where the fee scale rates in the sort of Midlands north of the UK are different from the home counties, for instance.
Yeah, they are very much. That's very interesting. It's been really interesting to talk to you. That's a fascinating insight into what you do, and it's always really refreshing to know that your understanding of what we do is up there. You know, you really understand that care is first, quality is first. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.